I have been living dangerously for the past 2 weeks of driving the 05 STI around with no fuel filter in the fuel system. Ever since we took out the stock fuel hanger assembly and put in the Radium dual fuel pump setup, there's been no fuel filter in the car, so we're gonna get that addressed today. So I was waiting on a whole bunch of AN fittings to come in for the car. They finally came in, as well as the other fuel stuff, like this fuel bracket and whatnot that I was gonna be putting in the car. I finally have a location figured out for this thing too, because for like the past week I was like, where do I want to put this thing? Where do I want to mount it? I'm obviously gonna mount it into the engine bay. Normally if you're mounting a fuel filter, you put it like in line with the fuel lines going from the fuel pump up to the front of the car, but a lot of people put them underneath the car on the frame rail. Since we're still using the stock hard line, that's not really an option. So what's going on, guys? Hopefully you're doing well, and welcome back to the channel. Stuff. So on the bench, we've got a whole bunch of stuff. I probably should have picked up a little bit. That's for the 17 STI. That's for the 17 STI. That's a microphone. So right here, I have an assortment of AN fittings. I already had a whole bunch of these, like 45s and 120s, but I decided to just stock up on a few. So I got 4 90s. I got 2 180s. I'm not going to be using all these. I really only need 2 90-degree fittings, so that's what we're going to be using today. So we're going to be getting this fuel filter installed. I already marked on it direction of flow, because there is a direction of flow on these things. You don't want to put this in backwards. Just make sure that you don't do that. So let's get this thing installed. Actually, before I go and get this thing installed, I should probably tell you guys what all we're doing in this video, so that way we're not just jumping around. Our friends down at Iwire actually sent us up their hardwire kit for the Radium dual fuel pump. So we're going to be getting that in the car today as well. That's out for delivery right now, so it should show up here in the next couple of hours or so. So huge shout out to our friends down at Iwire. Thank you, Brian, for getting that set up. Looking forward to getting it into the car today. They look a little bit intimidating to install. I don't think it'll be that bad. I really don't think it'll be that bad. Here's what I'm thinking for this fuel filter right here. Up on that back, like part of the firewall back there, there's like a little threaded hole already there. So I'm thinking about just mounting it up there and then running the feed to that side, running the out to that side that goes back into our T-fitting that feeds the fuel rails. Having a fuel filter is very important because you are going to suck up crap from your fuel tank through your fuel pumps, and then that can clog your injectors. If you get a clogged injector, that cylinder could run lean, your car could blow up, and then it go boom, and then nobody wants their car to go boom. Nobody wants that. So let's get this thing in here already. So I've got the easier of the 2 lines done. The one running from the fuel filter to the feed line. It just kind of, it's like got this, like, it's not a kink, but it's like a bend in it that I'm not a huge fan of. It's just, I could probably bend that hard line to just point directly at that. We'll see how this does. If I notice like any fuel stumble issues or anything like that, like it'll be fine. It'll be fine. If I do notice any fuel stumble issues, we'll come back, we'll change that line. It's not a huge deal. This one right here, so I don't advise anybody do what I'm about to do. Mainly because there's fuel in there. Probably not gonna be a good thing. I need to find a way to cut this line. I actually might be able to cut that with some hose shears. If I can't, looks like I'm going with the angle grinder. So that one right there, that one's gonna be a little bit fun. Let's get that one cut. And now, we have a fuel filter installed. So we have the feed coming off of the black feed line down there, wrapping up and around, going up into our fuel filter, coming out, going down, going back into the fuel rails and whatnot. So let's start it. Well, let's pressurize fuel system first to see what our fuel pressure's at, and then we'll start it to make sure we don't have any problems. I see no fuel leaks anywhere, which is good. Dope! Looks like we're all good. No leaking fuel. Sick. I'm about it. I like it. Fuel pressure also looks perfect. I'm gonna let it run for like, I don't know, 5 minutes or so, just to kind of work out anything that's in there. And then let's get this Iwire kit in. Fuel filter is installed. Now I am using a 100 micron fuel filter when I'm supposed to be using a 10 micron. Keep that in mind, I'm fully aware. When I go to reorder parts, all I have to do is order the 10 micron filter that goes inside of that housing, and it's super easy to replace. So now we're on hold for USPS, where are my parts? To drop off this Radium Iwire harness kit. It'll be fun, I hope. It looks a little intimidating, so I'm gonna go spend the next like hour and a half trying to find what I can on how to install this thing, and then we're just gonna get it installed. We'll figure it out. It can't be that bad. So it's a couple hours in the future, and USPS has dropped off our hardwire kit for the fuel pump. This is a very intimidating looking kit. I'm not gonna lie. I've done a lot of intimidating installs on cars. I've rewired a 2017 STI. I've rewired the entire car, but for some reason, this fuel pump kit just looks intimidating. It's really not. It just looks really intimidating. So, once again, huge shout out to Iwire for sending this over. Let me show you guys what they sent. Wiring always looks intimidating. So, packaging on this stuff, incredibly awesome. So we have right here the hardwire kit for single fuel pump. This is the addition for the Radium dual fuel pump setup. So we have extra relays in here. They gave us a pressure switch right here, which I don't think I can wire this in until I talk to the tuner. So I think we're gonna hold off on wiring this side in for now, at least until I can contact Chris to see what he wants us to even set that pressure switch to for the tuning purposes, or the tuning aspect of things. So I think for this one, we're gonna hold off today. This one, I think we'll get this one in the car today. We'll get the hardwire kit in. There's a little bit of custom stuff we're gonna have to do here, because like some of these, like this relay jumper craziness, as I was like skimming through the instructions, mount up on like the battery post. Yeah, I don't really got a battery post anymore, so I mean we could go like right off that sheet metal right there. We'll figure something out. Just gonna jump into it. Let's get the battery disconnected. Let's get the back seat and the trunk area kind of undone, so that way we have access to our fuel pump area. Let's get this hardwire kit in. You just gotta work up the confidence a little bit. I'm just gonna go for it. We're just gonna do it. I would just like to say I cannot wait for the day where I have somewhat of a shop to where I can work on a car with the doors all the way open. That's the dream, to be able to work on my car with the doors all the way open. Alright, so I just got the battery disconnected up here. Now we need to run the power wire for the fuel pumps back there up into the engine bay. Now if you're doing a dual fuel pump like I am, but you're not running the second pump yet, Iwire states that now is the time that you'd want to run the switch, which is this guy, up into the engine bay. I actually, you know what, just might run that up there with it, just so I don't have to do it later, and then just kind of tuck it away for now. But we're gonna be running this big power wire up through there. So the end that has all the black sheathing on it right here is gonna get pushed up and through. Now there's this tiny grommet behind the, it's like the brake pedal area. Mine just popped right out. I just popped it out. There's already a hole in it right there, so I can run that wire through it. I'm gonna get the wire length figured out, and then I'll put this grommet back in, and then we can run the rest of that wire right there. So if you're looking for it, it's like that one hole right there. Pretty hard to miss. It's the only one down there. So let's get the power wire ran through there with the pressure switch wires, just to get it done with, so that way we don't kind of mess with it later. And then we'll start running power wires to the back of the car. I feel like once we get the power wire ran, the rest will be smooth sailing. It's just getting the wiring from the front of the car to the back of the car, which is a little bit annoying to do, but it's the important part. So I ended up getting the circuit breaker on here. I just ended up like self-tapping it up here. It works. This cable length was the one that I was a little concerned about, because my battery setup is not OEM. We just need to finagle things a little bit. So we have enough length on there where it's going to be able to reach the battery and still look somewhat decent. So we have our power wire ran to this through that grommet down there. We've got our small jumper on there. I have this pressure sensor guy. I'm just gonna kind of let that dangle right there. I'm gonna put the grommet back in and zip tie up this excess wire up here. Actually, I'm gonna leave it there for now. We'll zip tie it later. But I'll get that grommet back in, and then we can start running all of this to the fuel pump area back there. So they want me to take all of this trim out in here. I'm guessing we're gonna peel the carpet back a little bit, get this wiring underneath the carpet and going through that little side piece down there. So let me start tearing all this apart so that way we can get into the back seat and actually get to the fuel pump area. So I've got the power wires ran in here. They go underneath of all of that. You can't see anything. So they go underneath this door sill, underneath the carpet, behind the seat belt, back here, and then it comes up and it zip ties to this crossbar that wraps all the way over there. So I have it zip tied right there. It's secure. I've got both of the modules, one of them for the hardwire kit, the other one for the secondary pressure switch. Now it's time to get this guy installed in the back. So going through their instructions, it looks like that guy is going to mount up with that bracket somewhere over here somewhere. I'm not quite sure yet, but we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. I don't know where it's gonna mount, but it's gonna mount somewhere right there. And then I'm guessing we're gonna end up like tapping into like all of the other relays or plugins right there. We'll figure it out. But also, thought this was kind of cool. If you guys have never seen the washer tank in the back for the intercooler sprayer, it's kind of cool. It just mounts up back here. You know, I'm probably gonna take it out of the car because I don't even use it anymore. Actually, I am gonna take it out of the car because I don't even use it anymore and it's just extra weight. I can also take out that spare tire. There's a lot back here that I can take out, but let me figure out how this guy mounts up right there because I'm not 100% sure quite yet. And let me figure out what wire gets plugged into what. I know that our power wire right there is gonna plug into this little like module for the fuel pump controller. Let me get this worked out. Let me get this part figured out right here. So we've got the module put back here right now. We've got a whole bunch of connectors and plugins back here for it. I believe those are going to tap in to something back here. I have absolutely no idea what quite yet because it kind of looks like they plug in up there, but I'm not 100% certain on that. I'm just kind of following Iwire's instructions. So what they want us to do next, off of that module that we just put back there, we run up the one with the white and blue wires. Now, because I have studs on my fuel pump right here, we're gonna be fishing these two studs onto where they need to go for the fuel pump. Now, keep this in mind. This part's gonna suck because I need to get this plug through a grommet underneath of this bar right here, and I need to fish these guys down under the car. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and get the rear of the car on jack stands to give me enough room to crawl under there to fish out some wires. So this part's gonna suck. This part's really gonna suck. It even says in their instructions, be patient, because it's essentially gonna suck, but we gotta do it. We could either do it this way, or we could drill a hole in the top of this and put a grommet in it. I'm just gonna do it the way that they want. It's a little bit cleaner. It looks a little bit better. I'm probably gonna have to fish up some wires for this guy. Looking at it, it's probably that black, that long gray and black wire, and probably something else. I'm not quite certain yet. I'm jumping back and forth between two different sets of instructions, so let me start with the one first. We'll get that fished under the car, we'll get this on jack stands, and we'll kind of go from there. Okay, kit's really not as like confusing as I thought it was. I went under the car to get those two wires ran for the fuel pump, and then I realized that I was looking at the wrong set of instructions for the fuel pumps. I was looking at a single pump versus a double pump. So we're just gonna wire in the double pumps right now. We're not gonna put the pressure switch in quite yet. We will tomorrow maybe. I don't know. That one's gonna have to wait till I talk to Chris. But let me show you guys, like this kit, I think I have like one more wire to set up. Super easy. I know everyone gets a little like off put by wiring. Really simple to do, I promise. So everything over here is pretty much cleaned up at this point. I have this relay put in here, up here for the dual fuel pump. I've got the main relay down there. I've got it plugged into the stock controller down there. I went ahead and I cleaned up my wiring. I'm gonna do a little bit more cleanup. I'm gonna secure them up there. I've got a whole bunch of these like P-clip style guys from when I rewired the 17 STI. So I'm gonna clean up the wiring even more than it already is. Up here, so I've already got all of the wiring and terminals pulled through up here. Really simple to do as long as you don't drop them back down there. I'm gonna kind of like tuck them right there. So I've got all three of them already pulled up here. Getting those in there, easiest way I found is to take the bigger end of this connector right here, shove it down behind the fuel pump, let it go under the car, and then you can just wire that up and through the grommet. Super easy to do it that way compared to like trying to shove terminals up in there. 100% easier. And then once you get those two in there, you can get that one longer one for the secondary fuel pump put up in there as well. Not difficult at all. That took maybe like 5 minutes to do that part. And then I've just been cleaning up wiring back here. I do suggest moving this big bar right here to get to that grommet right there to be able to feed all that wiring through. So at this point, there's really only like 5 wires left. This one's gonna go to an Attifuse up into the driver's side up there. We have these 2 wires right here that are gonna connect up to the fuel pump. We've got this one that's gonna connect up to the secondary fuel pump. Back here, I'm pretty sure this is a ground. I haven't seen anything in the instructions about it quite yet, but if it is, I'm just gonna ground it out right there where the old washer reservoir used to sit. To get that thing out, pretty easy. There's a bolt on the side of it, a bolt on the back side of it right there, and then you just pull this thing straight out, and it's gonna pull out like these little plunger feet that are like holding it in there. But super easy to get that thing out. If you want to know what smells bad, leave some old water in one of these tanks and then go to drain the tank later, because I promise it's gonna make you want to throw up in your mouth a little bit, because that was probably the moldiest smelling thing I have ever smelt. I'm gonna fill that thing up with a whole bunch of bleach later, just to try to clean the inside of it. But you want to talk about a poop smell? That thing is a poop smell right there. So now I'm gonna spend the next like 15-20 minutes or so going through here, cleaning up wiring. I'm gonna get that ground hooked up to that guy right there. And then just, actually, did I even go under the car to show you guys? So actually, let me show you guys down here this wiring. So you can see it running along the fuel tank right there, going up to the hanger. I have it zip tied up to the top of the fuel tank. There's a couple unused tabs up there you can zip tie it to. Just make sure it's secure so that way that wiring's not gonna be like demolished. Also make sure it's not on a spot that's gonna like rub through wiring over time. Keep that in mind. Do that, you'll be fine. Really not hard to get those wires through there. Just takes a little bit of like patience. As Iwire said in their instructions, patience. Let's get this wiring cleaned up. Let's try to wrap this thing up and start the car to see if it works. I don't know if I'm gonna hook up both fuel pumps right now or just one. I'm just gonna hook them both up and see what happens. What's the worst that happens if we just dump a ton of fuel into the car? So I'm almost done, and we're almost to the point where we can test this thing. I'm gonna try to put the pressure switch in. I'm gonna look online and see what people normally set it to. If I can find a reasonable answer, we'll set the pressure switch to that. If not, I'll wait till tomorrow. Iwire makes this kit so easy to install. It looks intimidating, but after you start going through it and you start doing it, super simple, super straightforward. So to show you guys back here, this relay right here is for our dual fuel pumps. That has a yellow connector that plugs into the connector up there. That orange wire that comes off of this just plugs straight into that as well. The power wire from up there goes straight to the module, and then there's a jumper that connects the stock fuel pressure controller, which is behind these 2 screws right up here, and it just jumps it. Those wires run up. So they go down. This is the last wire that we have to install. We need to run that to the fuse box up there. I'm about to do that one. But the white and blue wire run down through the grommet and come up through here. That's your power and ground for fuel pump number 1. Fuel pump number 2 is this gray wire that comes off of that secondary relay. That comes up and that goes to the power on the fuel pump. The ground is a separate harness that runs down with all the other wires underneath of the car, comes up through that grommet and grounds out to the brace right here. And then that's honestly pretty much it. That black wire is our pressure switch. I'm gonna try to wire that one in tonight, like I said, if I can. So let's run this red wire. It routes the exact same way as all these other ones. We'll route that one, and then we'll play with the pressure switch, see if we can get this thing started, but super easy. Side note, every time it's on a time lapse, I've been listening to the song called Pickle Rick. Pretty good. Gonna link it down below. Can't play it for copyright reasons, but if you're interested, go check it out. You'll like it. So time got away from me a little bit. I got the pressure switch in the car. I had to do it a weird way because one of the 1/8 MPT plugs that I put in the intake manifold decided to strip out. Like, not the actual like threaded portion, but the part where you put the Allen key to take the plug in and out kind of stripped out. Good thing we have an AMS intake manifold right there. That's all I'm saying. But I did manage to find a way to make this work. Let me show you guys. I haven't even tried to prime the car yet to see if it'll even like the fuel pumps will work. So let me show you this let me show you the pressure sensor. Then we'll just try to prime the car. We'll start baby steps here. So if we're looking at the engine bay, batteries reconnected, our jumper from the power up to our circuit breaker is good. Here's the pressure sensor. So I had to use, good thing I used to be on bags because I have a lot of like air fittings laying around. I had to use a 1/8 NPT adapter to 1/4 inch to be able to run a hose up here to this vacuum source off of the intake manifold, because that pressure sensor works off of the intake manifold. So I tightened the pressure sensor all the way just to be safe for right now. The pressure sensor shouldn't kick on the secondary fuel pump until after the car sees 15 psi of positive pressure in the intake manifold. It's just safe to do it that way for now, just so that way he can tell me what he wants me to set it at for now. He might tell me to take it out. I don't know. I'll probably just leave it in at 15 psi until either the car blows up or until we get the new engine in here running E85. But let's try to start this thing. Well, let's try to prime it first and see if those fuel pumps even kick on. Ooh. Oh, they work. Oh, they definitely work. Oh wow, no check engine lights, which is also good. I know you can't really see much, but just listen to this. These are loud. Those are some loud fuel pumps back there. Well, it seems like the car still works. Well, that's a good sign. The car still works. What are we reading for fuel pressure now? Spot on at 40 psi. Dope. Seems like we're all good. Let me throw the back seat back in, and then I guess let's go take it for a test drive. I don't know. I'm pretty happy. I'm pretty stoked about this. We added the fuel filter today and the wiring kit, and I'm pretty happy with the outcome of that because that whole thing just looked intimidating. Sick. Let me throw the fuel pump cover back on, throw all this like interior stuff back on. Let's go drive it. Okay, so the main thing that we're testing here today, well, obviously it's the next day, you guys, and as you guys can hear, the car is very rattly. I don't have the back seat or anything like that in here right now, so you're probably gonna hear a lot of excess noise. But the main thing I wanna go see right now is what will happen when I hit 15 psi of positive pressure in the intake manifold. We hit 1 pound right there. So now, let's hit 15. It's a good progression, right? Okay, well, it looks like we didn't blow up. We had a small backfire, so I'm guessing that a little bit of excess fuel went in there. Wow, I actually watched the fuel gauge go down. We only hit 11, but you know, I'm gonna take it. That first run was pretty convincing. Car runs beautifully. Fuel pump wiring really wasn't that bad to install. We can now utilize both fuel pumps that we have in the fuel tank. I'm happy with it. Once again, huge shout out to Iwire. I'll link down below the wiring harness kit that they sent me. I think it's out of stock until August, so be patient if you guys are looking for one. I know they have more coming. But that's all I got for you guys. I gotta go edit this video because it goes live today. The day I'm filming this is the day you guys are seeing this, and I'm behind upload schedule because it got too late last night and I needed to go. You guys get the gist. But anyways, if this video helped you guys, if you guys like the video, you know what to do. Go ahead, hit that like button, turn it black, blue, green, yellow, purple, silver, cyan, whatever color it turns for you guys. And if you're not already subscribed to the channel and you want to be one of these corners, no idea which one I'll put it in quite yet, but with that, I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace out, homies.